So let's listen to this perfect representative of the globe, the very first sentence that comes out of his mouth being a misrepresentation of my claims and a total lie.
Level Earth observer, the crane operator from England who believes his crane proves that the Earth is flat.
Never made that claim ever, cartoon boy. I've made the claims that tower cranes being dead still prove the Earth isn't a spinning ball. Fact.
G'day everybody, where's Wally here? Adam IFE would have to be one of the strangest people around. He claims that he's never said the Earth is flat, yet he's got flat Earth all over the place. Even blind Freddy on a horse could see that he's actually a flat earther, even if he can't see it himself. Bit like the curve, isn't it? Oh, I get it. You're just being pedantic, aren't you? Your crane doesn't say that it's a flat Earth. Your crane just says we live on a non-spinning ball, and that implies we live on a flat Earth. Wake up, Adam. Well, Level Earth Observer, he wants to go and play with rockets. I guess he's sick of sitting up in the top of that crane and just pressing the up, down, left, right, in, out levers all day long. I guess that's what he's qualified to do. Anyway, now he wants to talk about rockets, and of course, he has a whole pile of incredulity. He doesn't know what he's looking at, does he? Well, my new mate Hugh Jarsz, he asked me about Level Earth Observer. Next minute, a whole piece of video showed up. Well, I love having minions. This is great fun. Do all the work for you. Well, here we go, I'll play that.
G'day Wally, did you see Level Earth Observer just released a rocket video?
Level Earth Observer, I'm calling him a huge ass pain.
Oh, you're calling in Hugh Jarsz again? Okay, I'm on it, Wal.
Just a quick look at this new Shepherd rocket. Not the launch, more so the coming home. The final drawing of the pantomime curtain, so to speak. So let's have a quick look at the ridiculous claims that are being made here. We've got apparently a rocket booster. I'm not sure of the weight. I'm sure it weighs a good few ton, right?
So if you haven't seen this before, let me just explain what you're seeing here. The rocket has two parts basically, the capsule and the rocket booster. So you see the capsule further up the screen here, and the booster is the bit lower down, and that's what we'll be watching throughout this video. Now he says he doesn't know how much this rocket weighs. It weighs 20 tons, which is basically a fully laden one of these, or 3 of these.
It's in free fall, falling back down to Earth, apparently from space. We all know that's nonsense anyway. But we've got this rocket booster falling back down, currently joining the action where the rocket booster is doing 1,700 miles an hour in free fall.
So for those living in the 21st century, that's about 75 kilometres up, and it's doing 2,790 kilometres per hour. Thing to remember is that while 75 kilometres up, there still is atmosphere. It's very, very thin compared to what we have on the ground. Very, very thin compared to what's at 10,000 metres, which is about the level that commercial aircraft fly at. But despite it being thin, you can't really call it free fall because there is friction from the atmosphere, especially at these speeds. Before we get going much further with what Adam's saying, we might have a quick look at what this rocket's all about. It's operated by a company called Blue Origin, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. They operate rockets that they name after Mercury astronauts. This one's called the New Shepherd, after Alan B. Shepard, who was incidentally the first American in space. Now, this picture's from their website. As you can see, there are wedge fins up the top of the rocket which help guide it, as well as the fins down the bottom, which guide it back to the landing pad. Also, there are drag brakes. Both those things will be relevant later in this video.
About to hit atmospheric pierce point. That's when it comes back in through the atmosphere. At that point, it's going to have some good air pressure to be able to push against for those control systems to work with. Now we've got the wedge fins that have deployed. So those are the fins at the top of the rocket that are housed in the ring fin. They keep the rocket stable. They work with the ring fin itself, which centralizes the air pressure that flows through the ring fin, keeps it nice and upright, just aerodynamically.
That was very important commentary. Remember that.
We're now up to nearly 2,600 mile an hour in free fall.
Not quite. Adam apparently didn't listen to the nice lady. Vehicle is at its atmospheric insertion point. It's about 35 kilometres up here, 3.5 times the altitude of a normal airliner. So there's definitely atmosphere there to start slowing it down. In fact, the rocket's probably at its fastest point right round about here, and from now on it'll start slowing down. And that's simply because there's an atmosphere for it to resist against.
Thank you.
That's some pretty good camera work, mind. Following something that's doing 2,600 mile an hour in free fall. That's some camera work. Fair play, fella.
Again, everybody, for joining us live for this 10th mission of the New Shepard test program. Everything looks
Right, starting to slow down now. Although I can see from the craft, there's been no deployment at this point in time of drag brakes. So somehow this thing is now slowing down before the drag brakes have been deployed. Strange.
Adam, have you been paying attention at all? First of all, there's a timeline on the left there that shows you when those are supposed to be deployed. It's not yet. Second of all, you've just had it explained to you. The atmosphere is slowing it down. And thirdly, that's evidenced by this nice red glow coming from the bottom of the rocket on this little loop here. It's not strange if you have some idea what the hell you're talking about.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
looking nominal in flight so far. We hit an apogee of 350,000 feet. So far, another...
So we've lost, in the last 25 seconds, we've lost 1,100 miles an hour of speed. We've not deployed the fucking drag brake system yet. So how did something weighing several tons, I've got no idea of the weight, weighing several tons, in free fall doing approximately 2,500 mile an hour, how's that suddenly slowed down by 1,100 miles an hour without you deploying your drag brake system yet? How's that possible?
Oh, for God's sake, Adam, you've been given the answer, but you seem to be choosing to ignore it. Incredulity does not convince anyone, or it shouldn't anyway. You need to get measurements and facts. I went through the footage of this and took out the data of the time, speed and height. I did it in 5-second intervals. Here's the table of data that I collected from the footage. You can check it against yourself. Just freeze the video for a sec. From that, I was able to create these graphs to show whether or not it's unusual or not. And as you can see, it's a nice smooth curve. The only real reason you're incredulous is because these speeds and heights are pretty much out of your scope of experience. You think that when you're involving rockets, you're doing something a bit out of the ordinary, so you expect extraordinary results. But then you look at the data, is it normal? These graphs strongly suggest that it is.
Beautiful flight for New Shepard and the team.
Still slowing down. Where's the drag brake system hasn't been deployed yet, has it not?
No, it hasn't, and there's a damn good reason for that, an obvious one too. Let's have a look at this picture that Wolfie sent us. It's from one of the displays on his plane. It quantitatively shows that the closer you get to the Earth's surface, how much thicker the atmosphere becomes. Deploy them too early when the atmosphere is thin and they have no real effect. And as the atmosphere becomes thicker, extra drag at higher speeds would theoretically rip them off, and that makes them completely useless. But deploy them at the right time when they provide the most benefit with the least amount of risk.
Next year, we're looking for the drag brakes to deploy.
Right, they just deployed at 686 miles an hour. Can someone please tell me and explain to me how this thing weighing several tons was in free fall doing 2,600 miles an hour? Can you please explain to me how this thing was able to lose 2,000 mile an hour of speed, reduce itself from 2,500 mile an hour to 600 mile an hour without deploying the brake system? Please explain that.
All right, Adam, here it is again. Listen this time.
About to hit atmospheric pierce point. That's when it comes back in through the atmosphere. At that point, it's going to have some good air pressure to be able to push against for those control systems to work with. Now we've got the wedge fins that have deployed. So those are the fins at the top of the rocket that are housed in the ring fin. They keep the rocket stable. They work with the ring fin itself, which centralizes the air pressure that flows through the ring fin, keeps it nice and upright, just aerodynamically.
Of course, what that means is you've got a lot of friction against the atmosphere, as we saw in this photograph. That's what's slowing it down.
I don't know, is it just me, or does this look like a very, very bad bit of CGI?
Nah, mate, it's just you. Unless, of course, you have some qualifications in computer-generated images. I'd like to hear about them. But if you don't, you're talking out of your ass.
I can see a new shepherd right over my shoulder. She is coming in. Boom!
Look at the state of this. This literally is a cartoon coming in.
There we go.
Terrible cut again. Terrible cut. Let's just nip back.
She is coming in. Boom!
Look at the state of that. Look at it. It's computer graphics.
There we go, son. That motor just came in nicely.
There's fucking more cuts in here, in this footage, than there is in a fucking old school samurai movie. This is fucking terrible, folks. Look at the state of this.
You know what, Adam? You're right. Instead of choosing shots that make the landing exciting and sells off their product the best they can, they should choose a boring single shot that panders to conspiracy nuts and other idiots such as yourself.
Now, why go to this camera angle when all we're going to get is dust? Wouldn't you have been better to stick to a different camera angle where we can see this come in continuously, rather than all these cuts to different angles to hide things? It's obvious.
No, Adam. What's obvious is you're an incredulous fool. Rather believe in a worldwide conspiracy involving every nation on Earth who have never cooperated on anything ever, that's lasted for at least 50 years and probably more, to fake space. You really think that's more likely than reality? What am I saying? Of course you do. And as for the dust, the booster is landing in relatively high altitude deserts of West Texas. Of course there's going to be dust, no matter what the camera angle. It's obvious.
Touchdown. Welcome home, new shepherd. Wow, absolutely spectacular.
Sorry, I don't share your enthusiasm for that fucking pantomime. I want to know what reduced that thing's speed by 2,000 miles an hour when it was in free fall.
And again, you were given the answer to that question before you asked it the first time. You didn't listen. That's your problem. Live in your pantomime world if you want, where conspiracies reign supreme. I'll stick to reality.
That was nonsense. That was a mixture of fucking sci-fi fantasy, Masonic rocketry, and just ludicrous claims. And basically a little bit of CGI chucked in there, and more cuts than a fucking samurai movie. And I'm supposed to be impressed by that.
No one's trying to impress you, Adam. They don't do it for your sake. As Ranty says,
"You're a nobody, mate."
And everything you said was pure incredulity. You've got no evidence for that whatsoever. If you got evidence that it's CGI or science fantasy or Masonic rocketry, what the hell's that? Rockets made out of masonry? Crazy. Present the evidence or shut the hell up. You looking at a video and screaming, "It's fake!" to everything you see does not constitute evidence. Pick up your game. And I think that's where we'll leave Adam to his incredulity for today. Back to you, Wal.
Holy dooly, Hugh. That was awesome, mate. I'm going to have to keep an eye on you. Anyway, one thing I wanted to say, as Adam was talking there, I wanted to reach through the screen and grab him by the scruff of the neck.
I want to know what's reduced the speed of this thing by 2,000 miles an hour in freefall. Please explain that.
He keeps using the word freefall. Freefall. Well, Adam, I think that freefall means something different than what you think it means. Here, have a look at this graph. This is Felix doing his Red Bull dive, and he's got no brakes. So he's just doing a pure fall. I won't say freefall. Actually, I will say freefall in this question. A, B, C, or D, which one is freefall? See if you can answer. And of course, well, the smart people have picked A, because once he got to B, he's now at terminal velocity, and terminal velocity is not free fall. That is where drag is balancing gravity.
Ludicrous claims.
And Adam, have a look at this graph. Although I suspect reading graphs is probably not your strong suit, but you can see up here in the top left, notice how steep that descent line is for terminal velocity. That is what the rocket is doing when you say it's going really fast, and then all of a sudden it slows down. See how the graph, as it goes further to the right, flattens out? That's Felix slowing down due to air resistance, because the atmosphere is getting thicker. Simple as that. I'm not sure you'll figure that out. Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
Ludicrous claims.
And I did have a quick chat with Wolfie today, and I asked him about this video. He had a look and he straight away said, I betcha Adam has no idea about drag being a squared function of velocity. So easy really when you know. He said, I learnt this when I was 16 flying planes. Too easy.
Ludicrous claims.
I just know, Adam, you're going to ask for a practical demo.
I want to know what reduced that thing's speed by 2,000 miles an hour when it was in free fall. If you're going to say fins or something, I want to see a practical demonstration of that.
I guess I can't put a 200-foot crane on top of that rocket, can I? No, I can't. But, you know, if we look to nature, sometimes nature gives us practical demonstrations of exactly that. An object hitting the atmosphere, slowing down, all by itself. No human intervention necessary. Boom. Literally.
Ludicrous claims.
So Adam, here is a sequence of images taken from Manequin Walker's MS-7 launch. You should watch that. The link is in the description below because I, as a scientist, love to provide links and I fear no scrutiny. Now, I compressed each image vertically by exactly the same amount just to emphasize or zoom in on the curvature. Adam, please explain why we see more curvature as we go higher. Now, the apogee of this flight was 326,000 feet, or 99 kilometers straight up. Now, that's 4 times higher than your precious little Blackbird SR-71, and we see curvature. Could that be because we actually live on a spinning ball, Adam? I think so.
Ludicrous claims.
And for those of us who are unfortunate enough to know Adam fairly well, we sort of know that he likes to pick on people's demeanour, their attitude, whether they're happy or sad. Well, here's a couple of chaps who are full of life and doing exactly what every one of us would be doing if we were inside the ISS too. On our spare time, I'd certainly be playing soccer. Not a better way to spend $80 million a day, I reckon. But of course, that's going to trigger Adam, and he's going to think that's a bit of an own gold for his side. But I reckon, you know what's an own gold for your side, Adam? Namibia. You ever going to do something about Namibia, Adam? We're still waiting for the bad day.
So please, if you're able to identify this bit of land that takes up this massive bit of the supposed spinning globe Earth, please, can you let me know in the comments section? Because I cannot find that landmass, as I've stated previously in the other video.
So Adam, when are you going to address Namibia? You asked for it. You made 2 videos specifically asking for it. I gave you the information. And you make a lot of noise, but you have no follow through. When there's so much noise comes out of your orifice as you have, we want to see that you have lots of follow through. Just push hard and make that happen. Come on, Adam, you can do it. And Leo, it's interesting that you pick on New Shepherds. This is purely a tourism venture. This is designed to take people up to 100 kilometers and higher just to be in space and look around. And this is going to be happening in the next year or so, probably sooner. How are you going to feel when that starts happening and all these people start coming back with all these pretty pictures of the globe? How are you going to feel, Mr. Flat Earther, who says he's not a flat earther? Okay, well, that's probably enough of poking Level Earth Observer with the reality stick. And I wanted to give a really special shout out to Hugh Jarsz. He has been a big help. And I reckon he's going places. So please, 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 everyone, as a favour to me and to really stick it to Randy. Look, I know he's got nothing to do with this, but let's stick it to Randy anyway. And how about we all jump over on Hugh and give him a big like and a big subscribe. And I think if we can get him up over 1,000 as quick as we can, he's going to go places, that young fella. Thanks, guys.